Kevin Costner's appearance on Today with Jenna and Friends was supposed to be a relaxed and celebratory conversation about his latest project, a continuation of his Western epic that had captivated audiences and critics alike. The producers promoted the episode as an exclusive look into Costner's creative process and personal reflections following his success both as an actor and filmmaker. Fans tuned in expecting the usual charm and warmth that accompanies most morning show interviews. Instead, what unfolded was a tense exchange that left the studio audience stunned and social media buzzing within minutes. The show began on a light note. Jenna, always known for her friendly energy, welcomed Kevin warmly, recalling moments from his previous visits and expressing admiration for his decades-long career. Costner, dressed in his usual understated style, jeans, a crisp shirt, and a leather jacket, smiled politely, responding with modesty and that familiar quiet confidence that had made him a Hollywood icon. For the first several minutes, everything seemed in order. The discussion focused on his filmmaking approach, his connection to Western themes, and his love for wide-open landscapes that symbolize freedom and resilience in his movies. As the interview progressed, however, the tone began to shift. One of Jenna's co-hosts steered the conversation toward the recent controversies surrounding Costner's departure from the hit television series Yellowstone. Rumors about behind-the-scenes tensions, scheduling conflicts, and creative disagreements had dominated entertainment headlines for months. While Costner had addressed some of these matters in previous interviews, he had made it clear that he was uncomfortable revisiting the topic, especially when it came to speculation about personal or contractual issues. When the question was raised again, this time implying that Costner's ego had contributed to his split from the show, his expression noticeably changed. He took a deep breath and leaned slightly back in his chair, his body language shifting from open to guarded. "I think people have written a lot of stories that just aren't true," he said evenly, his voice low but firm. "I've always tried to handle my work with integrity, and when I commit to something, I give it everything I've got. Sometimes, things don't go the way we hope, but that doesn't mean there's drama behind every decision." His answer was calm, but there was an unmistakable edge to it. The tension in the studio rose almost imperceptibly, the kind of uneasy quiet that only live television can magnify. Instead of moving on, the co-host pressed further. She referenced a tabloid report claiming that Costner had been difficult to work with on set, citing unnamed insiders. The actor's jaw tightened. "You're quoting gossip," he replied, his tone sharper now. "If you want to talk about my films, my work, I'm here for that. But I'm not here to defend myself against rumors." Jenna, sensing the discomfort, tried to interject with a lighter question about his upcoming movie, but by then the energy had already shifted beyond recovery. What made the moment more volatile was how it mirrored Costner's public persona: disciplined, private, and unwilling to compromise his dignity. He's a man who built his career not on scandal or sensationalism but on craftsmanship and quiet determination. For decades, he had navigated the unpredictable tides of Hollywood with grace. Yet here he was, visibly frustrated on national television, trying to maintain composure while the conversation drifted into territory he had long sought to avoid. The next question turned the spark into a flame. The same co-host mentioned the ongoing legal proceedings between Costner and his ex-wife, subtly linking them to his alleged difficulties on set, suggesting a pattern of control and stubbornness. That was the breaking point. The audience could see it in his eyes, a flash of disbelief, followed by anger and disappointment. "That's incredibly inappropriate," Costner said, his voice resonating through the studio. "I came here to talk about my work, not my personal life. If that's where this is going, then I think we're done." A nervous laugh rippled from somewhere in the audience, as if someone thought he was joking. But Costner wasn't. He stood up, adjusted his jacket, and looked toward Jenna, who seemed caught between apologizing and trying to defuse the moment. "Kevin, I'm so sorry," she said quickly. "We didn't mean to make you uncomfortable," but he cut her off gently, though firmly. "You've always been kind, Jenna. But this isn't what I agreed to." For a few seconds, there was silence, the kind of heavy, awkward silence that feels like it stretches for minutes. Then, without another word, Costner walked off the set. Cameras caught him exiting the stage, his back straight, his stride steady but purposeful. The hosts were left scrambling, unsure how to continue the segment. The director reportedly signaled for a commercial break, and the screen faded out with the show's theme music playing faintly in the background. When the show returned, Jenna addressed the situation delicately. "We just want to say we have great respect for Kevin and appreciate him taking the time to be here today," she said, her tone noticeably subdued. "Sometimes, conversations can take an unexpected turn, but we wish him all the best with his new project." Her co-host nodded silently beside her, avoiding eye contact with the camera. Within minutes, clips of the incident began spreading online. Social media lit up with speculation, support, and criticism in equal measure. Some viewers praised Costner for standing his ground, arguing that he had every right to walk away from invasive questioning. Others claimed he had overreacted, suggesting that public figures should expect scrutiny as part of their job. The hashtag Kevin Costner trended throughout the day, with fans posting clips, opinions, and statements defending his professionalism. Behind the scenes, sources from the production team reportedly expressed regret over how the interview unfolded. Several insiders claimed that the controversial questions were not part of the pre-approved list Costner's team had agreed upon before the show. According to one staffer, the segment producer had wanted to add a little edge to the interview to spark more engagement. Unfortunately, that decision backfired spectacularly. Costner's representatives later issued a short statement to Entertainment Weekly, clarifying that he had left the set because certain personal topics were raised without prior discussion, and that he values interviews that focus on the work rather than private matters. The statement was measured, polite, and professional, much like the man himself. Yet, the moment had already taken on a life of its own. Morning show dramas rarely fade quietly, and this one was no exception. Entertainment commentators dissected the confrontation from every angle. Some argued that the incident reflected a growing tension between celebrity culture and journalistic overreach, the pressure on hosts to extract emotional sound bites for viral clips versus the need to maintain respect and boundaries. Others viewed it as a symbol of Costner's enduring authenticity in an era dominated by sensationalism. "Kevin Costner walking off that set wasn't about pride," one columnist wrote. "It was about principle. He's one of the few left who still believes not every part of a person's life belongs to the public." Meanwhile, fans flooded his social media pages with words of support. Many shared personal stories about how his movies had inspired them, from Dances with Wolves to Field of Dreams and Open Range. "You did the right thing," one comment read. "You've earned the right to decide what parts of your life are open for discussion." Others expressed disappointment that a program known for its friendliness had let such a moment happen, urging Jenna's team to issue a formal apology. For Jenna Bush Hager herself, the incident was particularly difficult. She has built her brand on warmth and empathy, not confrontation. Insiders said she was visibly upset after the segment, apologizing repeatedly to her crew and reaching out privately to Costner's team in an effort to smooth things over. Though Costner reportedly appreciated her message, he made it clear that he preferred to move on and focus on promoting his film elsewhere. In the days that followed, ratings for that particular Today episode spiked, as viewers tuned in to see the moment firsthand. News outlets replayed the footage endlessly, with experts analyzing every gesture and word. Yet, for all the noise, the essence of what happened was simple. A veteran actor, tired of invasive speculation, decided to draw a line in the sand on live television. Those who know Costner best say that moment was quintessentially him, calm until he no longer could be, principled even when it meant walking away. Friends described him as a man who values honesty and mutual respect above all else. "He doesn't like being cornered," one longtime collaborator shared. "If he feels something's unfair, he'll stand up for himself, quietly, but firmly. That's just who he is." In the end, the so-called walk-off became less about scandal and more about boundaries, about the delicate balance between openness and privacy in a culture that often confuses access with entitlement. Kevin Costner didn't storm off in rage. He simply refused to let a conversation about his artistry be turned into fodder for gossip. For some, it was a shock. For others, it was a reminder that authenticity still exists in an industry built on illusion. By the time the dust settled, Costner had moved on, appearing on another talk show a week later, relaxed, smiling, and back in control of the narrative. When asked gently about the incident, he smiled faintly and said, "Sometimes you just have to walk away when something doesn't feel right." It was the kind of line only Kevin Costner could deliver. Quiet, resolute, and somehow cinematic. Leaving everyone with the sense that, once again, he had written his own ending.